So, Zelda Wii U and Nintendo NX and E3. Nintendo have said that there's only going to be... They're not going to reveal the NX at E3 this year. They're just going to have one playable thing available, and that is Zelda Wii U. Now, I'm thinking is that... It sounds like to me that Zelda Wii U is going to be the focus of this year's E3 for Nintendo. But, saying that, what else are they going to reveal? Are Nintendo going to reveal something huge, and they're keeping us all in the dark and lying to us, and they're going to pull out something huge from the Nintendo bag of tricks, and they're going to give us something massive that's going to blow things out of the water, something that we're not expecting. They may even announce and show us the NX in action, and show us the console. They might be just keeping all of this under the hood of a car for the meantime until E3 hits, and then they're going to blow us out of the water and reveal something huge that no one is expecting. But Zelda Wii U. What do I want to see from Zelda Wii U at E3? Well, I definitely want to see more gameplay of Zelda Wii U. I really hope they go in depth of it as well and talk about what the storyline's going to be. Show us a new trailer that's going to wow us even more than the first. Show us some in-depth detail of the world. I really hope that Zelda Wii U is going to be released on the Wii U around Christmas time, and that Zelda NX is going to be released on the Nintendo NX as a launch title come March 17th. I strongly believe, without a doubt, strongly believe that that is what they are going to do with Zelda. Just like they did with the GameCube and the Wii. Zelda Twilight Princess was released. It was the last game on the GameCube to hit before the Wii was released later on that year. And Zelda Twilight Princess was a launch title on the Nintendo Wii. I think Zelda NX will be a really, really strong launch title on the NX. And it'll really showcase the NX's power. The graphics, the capabilities of the Nintendo NX. No more gimmicks, but I think that there will be gimmicks with the NX. And it'll also involve Zelda NX to make that different from the previous version on the Wii U. But Zelda NX, Zelda Wii U, it's probably coming to both. As far as E3 goes, I hope there's a new trailer that is really going to wow us with Zelda. I really hope that Nintendo is going to blow us away with their conference this year, and so they're going to reveal something big. Anyways, that's it from me. Back to you guys.
What's up everybody, Jesse here, or GameOver Jesse as y'all may know me, and today my great friends in the Two Button Crew have asked me to talk about what I want from Zelda Wii U at E3. Now, to start off, a few weeks ago Nintendo kind of broke the hearts of all Nintendo fans by saying that the only game they would be showing off is Zelda Wii U at E3. And as a Zelda fan, this is the most exciting news that you can ask for, because you go into E3, you want, as a Zelda fan, you want a new trailer, you want a release date, you want a little bit more information, so that's awesome. Instead of getting like 5 minutes of video, you're going to be getting an entire press conference just on Zelda. But the flip side to this is, how much can Nintendo actually show off before they go into spoiler territory? Are we going to be 15 or 30 minutes in to this press conference and then have to turn it off because we don't want the story or the game spoiled for us? So it's kind of a tricky situation, and because of this I took what Two Button Crew had asked me to do, and I sort of made a list of some things that I would personally like to see that I don't think get too far into spoiler territory, but if you do, let us know in the comments below, and also let us know what you expect from Zelda Wii U and Nintendo to do at E3. So when Nintendo first officially announced that they were working on Zelda Wii U, they announced some key changes to the franchise. The first of which was the order of players supposed to complete the dungeons. Now, traditionally in Zelda games, you can go anywhere, you can do whatever you want, and as long as you're good enough to complete the dungeon, you could potentially complete one of the last dungeons in the very first Zelda game without actually doing anything. But it's all dependent on your skill, not how far you've made it into the game. So with later games such as Twilight Princess, it's seen as one of the most linear games to where the game has a very set structure. You can deviate from it a little bit, but mostly all of the dungeons fall into a very specific order, and you have to complete that dungeon before the story actually progresses. So they've kind of experimented with this in A Link Between Worlds, where you can go to Ravio's shop, you can buy your item, and then as long as the dungeon uses that item, you can make your way and progress through the dungeon. But the offset to this is that the story in A Link Between Worlds, once you completed a dungeon, it really didn't give you that next big push in the story. So I want to know, is Zelda Wii U going to be doing something similar to this? We know it's supposed to be an open world. You can complete any dungeon that you want to in any order, supposedly. But what kind of system are they going to put in place for that? Are we going to see the same thing as A Link Between Worlds, or is it going to be more skill-based, like in the original Zelda game? Because one of the biggest things for a dungeon for me is the dungeon puzzles, the dungeon item, and then the dungeon boss. And if you take out the dungeon item and you get it before you go into the dungeon, or it's just marked with a big sign that says, hey, you need the hookshot for this dungeon, then it kind of takes me out of the game. It kind of takes away that big surprise and everything that I look forward to in the dungeon, because then you can kind of expect what the puzzles are going to be like and what the boss is going to be like, and it takes away that sense of beating that mini boss and revealing that final weapon to allow you to finally progress through the dungeon. So I want to know how Zelda Wii is going to be tackling this. The second thing Nintendo announced for Zelda Wii U is that they don't want you to think of it as a single-player experience. Now, we've seen Nintendo tackle the Zelda franchise in several different ways with multiplayer. The biggest that I can think of is Four Swords Adventures or Triforce Heroes, where it's a full-on multiplayer experience. It's a Zelda game built for multiplayer. But then they've also had the remake of Wind Waker HD, where it's just a splash of multiplayer. There's the Miiverse functionality, you can write letters to your friends, so in that way it is multiplayer. But the game itself isn't built to be multiplayer. So how are they going to tackle this with Zelda Wii U? If this is one of the main things they were going to be changing, then how can we expect that? I hope they kind of clarify that for fans, because a lot of people don't want multiplayer. A lot of people think if they do have multiplayer, make it a single player experience and then put multiplayer aspects into it to where I can play the whole game by myself, build it as a single player experience, but if my friend wants to pop in online or come over and pick up a controller, he can play or she can play as well. So I want them to tackle those two statements that they made, because those are the most generic statements that you can say whenever you're building a new game, saying you're going to change it, and then you announce two very, very broad statements how you're going to change the game. So I want to know about that. And then very quickly, I have a few other things. Amiibo support. Almost every big game Nintendo's been making lately, they've been bringing Amiibo and building custom Amiibo for it. And I want to know, whenever Twilight Princess HD was announced, they showed off the Wolf Link amiibo, and they said that with the Wolf Link amiibo, you would be able to use it with Zelda Wii U. Now, we know amiibo can only hold one set of data at a time, so if you try to transfer the save data to another game or use save data on another game for the amiibo, you have to delete what's already on there. So how's the Twilight Princess HD amiibo supposed to carry over data for Zelda Wii U? I would really like to know that, and I would like to know what kind of new amiibo they're going to be making for Zelda Wii U, and what kind of functionality they're going to have in the game. I want to know where exactly this falls in the timeline, not necessarily the whole plot, the whole story, but does it take place in a brand new timeline? Are they rebooting the franchise? Is it taking place after Skyward Sword, after Twilight Princess? We know it's supposed to be connected to Twilight Princess in some way, but we don't really know how. Is it supposed to take place before, after, at the same time, but in a different timeline? There's several ways they could do this, or it could be like Ocarina of Time and Skyward Sword, to where Skyward Sword heavily influenced by Ocarina of Time, but they're not directly after one another. There's a few games in between. The next thing is when they announce the game and the release date and everything, and they're closing their conference, and they show you the official box art, the collector's edition, and everything. What is going to be in the collector's edition? Are they going to have a Wii U bundle with Zelda Wii U, or are they going to have an NX bundle? What comes with it? What doesn't come with it? What are the different bundles looking like in different territories? Are you going to get a new stylized Wii U gamepad similar to the Wind Waker HD, or is it going to be a bundle again like Twilight Princess, to where it just comes with the amiibo and it's not going to be a console bundle? The next is, now I know they said they weren't going to talk about the NX, but I want to know, what are the possible differences in the Wii U and the NX version? We know famously Twilight Princess did the same thing, where it released on both generations of Nintendo hardware. It released on the GameCube and the Wii. The main differences that people think about is, with the GameCube version you can play with a normal gamepad or normal controller, and with the Wii version you have to play with the motion controls, and it had the waggle and everything. But a lot of people don't remember that the GameCube version only played in standard 4:3 aspect ratio, where the Wii version played in widescreen 16:9. And then there was also a few other minor differences. The game was flipped, so the map was in reverse. So what kind of differences are the Wii U and the NX version going to have? And what kind of game mechanic functionality can they build into the game that's specific for that hardware that it's on? Next is, we know last year at E3 Nintendo said Zelda Wii U, Zelda is not going to be at E3. We're not going to show off anything Zelda related. We're going to show off games that are going to be releasing in the next couple of months before the end of the year, the holiday season, and hype up the games that we have coming out currently. But then they go ahead and they announce Triforce Heroes, which is a brand new Zelda game they were working on. A lot of people think, well, they're not showing off Zelda Wii U. Zelda Wii U is not coming out this year, so they're giving us Triforce Heroes to kind of hold us over, which is what they did with Wind Waker and then Twilight Princess HD. So are they going to be giving us another Zelda game to hold us over, since Zelda Wii U was delayed again? I know Twilight Princess HD recently came out, but are we going to have another new 3DS? A new 3DS Zelda game, or are we going to have a remake built for Wii U or the 3DS, like Ocarina of Time HD, or a lot of people are wanting Link's Awakening remake for the 3DS or the Wii U. So I think something like that would be very interesting. Or are they just going to leave it blank and they're just putting full production power into Zelda Wii U and into NX games? Which they could hire a second or a subsidiary to build the game, or a completely third-party studio to build the game or the remake. So I want to know what they're doing there. Are we going to get, like, okay, here's this small 3DS Zelda game to kind of hold you over until Zelda Wii U comes out, or is it just going to be a long, dried-out wait for Zelda Wii U? Next is, just a couple of days ago, about a week ago or whatever, depending on when you're watching this, Nintendo announced plans to... oh god, I can't even... it blew my mind. They wanted to open restaurants. They announced their plans to tackle movies and just move into other ways of promoting and selling their IPs. And whenever they mentioned this, they said that they knew fans wanted and the fan demand for a Zelda movie, and this kind of goes with the rumors that came out last year that Zelda was going to have a Netflix series, sort of like Game of Thrones, but more family friendly. And is this rumor something that came out of a discussion where they were first planning the Nintendo movies and stuff, or the Nintendo animes? And are we going to be getting something like that? Is it just going to be Zelda Wii U, or are we going to learn about other things that happen with the Zelda franchise, like shirts and merchandise, movies, animes, TV shows, restaurants? They had theme parks that they were talking about. Are we going to see like a sneak peek at like a Zelda themed ride or something? Like, the possibilities are endless, and if you want to talk about Zelda for the entire conference without revealing too much, then I think you kind of have to dive into these other territories. Like with the Final Fantasy Uncovered, They showed off Final Fantasy 15, but they also showed off this new prequel demo that you can play to sort of get how the game works. They announced a full anime that you can kind of get a prequel to the story or something. They announced a movie that's supposed to take place at the same time. This is Zelda's 30th anniversary. So what else do they have planned to coincide with the Zelda Wii U? And then that pretty much wraps it up. Let me know what you thought about this in the comments below. Let me know what you want to see, what you expect for Nintendo and Zelda at E3. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the Two Button Crew. They're one of my favorite YouTube channels. Every single day they have brand new Nintendo videos. They top 10 lists, weird tattoo videos. Not their videos are weird, the tattoos, some are weird. They always have like a best and worst thing. They recently had a funny video where they went back and looked at old Nintendo commercials. So please support them, subscribe to them, check out their shop. You can buy their shirts, support them. And thank you for having me on. And as always, you can check out my channel as well, GameOver Jesse, where I mostly have Zelda videos because why not? Zelda's awesome.